It's a battle of the two Ivy League teams that are still undefeated on the season. It is week 6 of the college football season. Lance Meadow with you here on GoColumbiaLions.com. It is the John Poppy Coaches Show. As first, we'll recap Columbia's big victory on the road at Franklin Field, their first victory there over the Quakers since 1996. And Coach, always a pleasure having you on. Let's start with the game. It's interesting because we talked so much about the rushing attack over the last few weeks, setting the tone. It seemed as if Penn said, we're going to try to limit the damage on the ground, see maybe if Columbia can dictate through the air, and Chase Goodwin came through with over 300 yards and 2 scores. What did you think about how the offense evolved within the span over the last few weeks?
Yeah, it just goes back to what I said, true balance, as Coach Saitu being able to call any play at any time and feeling confident about it. And that was the case, right? We saw how Penn was aligning and what they were trying to do and trying to prevent us from doing. And Chase and the offensive line, I mean, everyone really had a hand in that win. Proved us right by relying on Chase's arm, so to speak, and the receiver's hands. And we made the plays that we needed to make to win the game.
With respect to the dynamics of the game, you got 2 early takeaways, and that shortened the field. You were able to capitalize those, scoring touchdowns off of each of the interceptions. How big was that in changing the tone of the game early?
No question, especially coming into the environment of Penn where, it's a ghost town for us, at Columbia. And the guys did a great job of just coming out on fire, and it's offense and defense and special teams, right? We punted there, and we went on a drive and couldn't convert on 4th down, and then defense comes right back and gets us the ball, and here we go. And so that was awesome to see the team play off each other like that, and if only we had recovered that onside kick, it might have been a really, really interesting situation in a positive way for us.
Interestingly, you had 6 trips into the red zone, which I'm sure you like. Only 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals, and then, of course, a missed opportunity. What's your takeaway from that, John? The team's been strong in the red zone, but points that you can emphasize here moving forward with that standpoint.
Yeah, in terms of making plays, right, we had one where I think Cole Freeman threw a great ball to Ian Stagg that could come down and be a touchdown for us, and that changes things in a dramatic way that late in the game because the next play we take a sack. Right, and so that forced us in a field goal situation. And then there's the 4th down and 2 where we didn't convert. Naturally, if we convert there, chase a little bit more on the mark of the ball, it's a different situation, a different story. So we still have room to improve, which is great. And coming this week, we need to make these plays if we want to win.
You did get explosive plays, though, through the air. Joey Georgie had the 30-yard run, but it was really about Bryson Canty. And Chase Goodwin, I thought, really did a nice job spraying the wealth. Marcus Lidman had a touchdown. We've talked a lot about this, but the more and more you put on film, various receivers stepping up, what message do you think that sends the rest of the Ivy League and your upcoming opponents?
That we're a pain to defend. And I've always believed that, and that's a testament to the coaches putting our guys in the right positions and, making sure we're doing the right things by our players to find ways for them to be successful if they're on the field. And that's been awesome to see, and it's been awesome for the players to execute the way they have. And that needs to, again, happen once again this weekend if we want to win.
The other thing that is noticeable is you have found consistently ways to close out close games. I mean, a majority of these games, as you know, John, have gone down to the wire, and they have an opportunity on their last possession. 14 seconds left. Maybe they put up a Hail Mary, right? Who knows? Jack Smahowski makes sure that Aidenson doesn't even get the pass off. What does that say about the defense's ability to close and finish the job, which obviously you've been looking for each and every week?
Yeah, that was awesome. And it was a great scheme and great design by the defensive staff and Coach Stovall and how we pressured that final play. And Jack Schmo made us right and did a great job doing what he does, which is blitzing off the edge. And he found the seam eventually once we forced the quarterback to step up with our high contained rush. And it was awesome to see the ball not go in the air.
Speaks volumes of the defense, and you had 2 takeaways again. 7 interceptions on the season. I'm about to call your team Mr. and Mr. Opportunistic. No matter who you turn to, they seem to come up with big plays. You're tied for the Ivy League lead with 7 picks. What do you think that says about the ability for your players to be in position to take away the football, especially when it happens so consistently?
Yeah, just trust factor and experience, right? We were a very experienced defense. Hayden, Aaron,
Sure.
Both multi-year starters, so that part of it helps too, where we're not adjusting our scheme in a major way from previous seasons. We're making minor tweaks, and we're putting our defense in a position to be successful. Right? We went 3 down. We're usually a 4-down team, and now we give something else for these defense or opposing offenses, to prepare for. And that's awesome that our guys can handle that. And it was the right decision to make going to that 3-down front because I thought it really gave Penn problems.
And Aaron Brebner, of course, was one of the individuals that came through with an interception, picking up where he left off last season. He led the team, actually, in that category with 3. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll find out other skill sets that he has up his sleeve other than taking away the football. It's the John Poppy Coaches Show. Lance Meadow with you here. We'll be back right after this.
Hello, my name is Aaron Brebner. I'm a senior. I play strong safety and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. For me, it goes all the way back to when I was 8 years old. It goes back down to Atlanta, Georgia. My family's from Jamaica, so like they didn't really understand too much about football, but like they always used to watch a lot of sports growing up. For me, I fell in love with watching Atlanta Falcons. A big influence for me was watching Roddy White and Julio Jones and like that entire era of Atlanta Falcons football. And then when I went out there, it was just fun. I used to just love flying around and just having fun and just talking to a lot of my friends that I still keep up with to this day, and it's carried on till now. Favorite Falcon of all time? All right, this is kind of a twofold answer. So like, my mentor, my number one mentor is my coach, my track coach is Coach Alan Rosso. So like, he's one of my favorites. He's one of the best like returners in league history, in my opinion. And then my favorite growing up for sure is Roddy White. I like used to wear number 84 and everything. I was a big Roddy White fan growing up. So Roddy White for sure. I'm a big like river fisher. When I'm back home, like I'll call up one of my closest friends from back home, and like we'll just go to the river and just fish for like 2-3 hours. This summer in Miami, it was an internship, and one of the interns had us out on his boat, and we went and caught mahi. And I don't remember how big it was. Like this big, but it was like the coolest thing ever because I've never been deep sea fishing before that, and it was so cool. I have a little brother. He's amazing. I love him. He just turned 13. Shout out Austin. He's gonna be better than me. I really love Jamaican food. A lot of people might not know. Like, I really truly love Jamaican food. I love learning to cook for my dad. Like, I haven't learned as many dishes as I want to, but like when I go back home, I'm learning to cook really well for my mom and dad. The Bronx has like the best collection of like Caribbean food by far. So for me, I went to a really big football school down in Georgia. A lot of my friends went to really big schools, and I was just chasing. I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I was enjoying playing football. And it wasn't until junior year where I fractured my ankle. I kind of had to sit there, take a step back, and understand what do I want to do with my life and what do I want to make sure I can do with football. And from then on, I sat there with my mom. We sent my film out to about like 70 coaches. Columbia reached back to me along with some other school. But it was really like Columbia's attention to detail with the family and the family-oriented values, and then talking to some of my mentors back in high school, the idea that Columbia itself isn't just like 4 years. They say it a lot, it's 40 years, and it's something like you hear over and over again, but it's something for real. And I really just love the atmosphere here at Columbia, and I love the coaches and how well they brought me into it immediately. Like, I'm far away from home, but like I have a lot of friends here, that not just my friends that are my age, but like a lot of people on the staff as well that have been really nice and generous to me. Shout out Jessica DePaulo. She's been an amazing person to me just in my journey here at Columbia. This is cold. It's cold here, man. I'm not used to it being this cold. I'm used to just wearing a jacket every now and then. I'm not used to snow. But other than that, like, you do what you have to do. I do what I enjoy. I like to go eat a lot. I like to go be outside. I'm a big outdoors person when I'm back home. So for me, it's like getting out to Central Park, going for a walk, going on a bike ride with some of my friends here, and just like finding my own home within a home here. I've really enjoyed my stay in New York, honestly. It's been a great experience, and I'm very thankful that I was able to make the decision to be here. Growing up, I was always playing both receiver and kind of safety / corner because they didn't really know where to put me growing up. I didn't make the complete change of talking to high school. I was talking to my middle school coach, who's also the freshman coach at of my high school, and when we talked, he was like, "AB, I think you have a real chance of being a very good safety for our program." And from then, it was kind of written. I started talking to my trainers. I started going to a personal trainer, learning how to play DB, playing more intentional, getting more into my film book, and I started talking a lot more and started understanding the game at a very more intricate level. I take a lot of influence from a lot of the people who came before me, whether it be high school or now. For high school, I had a lot of great guys at my high school come before me. I had DJ Turner, who currently plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, and then I had Quinton Newsome, who's also on the Broncos. I loved watching them, and I loved understanding how the way they flew around, the way they just carried themselves in the locker room. When I got here to Columbia, I have a lot of thanks and gratitude towards Ben Mathesmeyer, who was a safety before me. He showed me all the right things to do in terms of carrying myself, in terms of being a leader on the field, in terms of talking, in terms of how to take care of my body and taking care of what I have to do outside of the field and at school as well. In terms of professional football, I love watching Ed Reed, the highlights when he comes downhill, and then recently I started watching a lot of Eric Berry highlights. With everything that happened to him and how resilient of a player he was, it was amazing to watch him as well. A good safety, you gotta be able to fly. When I say fly, I mean you gotta be able to go from hash to hash, from mid to sideline. You gotta be able to fly around. You gotta be able to tackle. You gotta have good ball skills in the air. And you gotta be able to cover. I think those are the really big, important things if you want to be a good safety. And not even just good, just to be the best safety, you gotta have a lot of confidence around you. You gotta have trust as well. One of the biggest things that's helped my game is just having trust in those around me, whether it be my corners, whether it be my other safety, but more importantly, just having trust in my D-line to get pressure there. I can play things a little differently, understanding that I know my D-line is gonna get there in under a certain amount of time. My mom used to always tell me, if the ball's in the air, go get it, it's yours. So I kind of grew up thinking that, so I've always had fun. Interceptions are the most fun thing in the world because it changes so much game flow. The impact it has on the game is insane. Just being able to give the ball over to my offense and just trust them to make plays, or me at least trying to get to the end zone. But it's been more of the offense scoring for us. But just having that opportunity to give them the chance and just change the flow of the game is just too fun. It's too important, and it's too impactful. I really truly believe this team's special. This team has a lot of love for each other. There's one thing about us is that we're an extremely close team. It doesn't matter what position group it is. I have friends, all my boys on the team are my friends. It doesn't matter who it is. I have love for each and every one of them. But at the same time, we're an extremely competitive team. The second the ball snapped, the second the whistle's blown, when it's spring ball, during the winter, it was competition every second of the down. It's not something that's been here previously, but it's something that Coach Pop has brought in. It's just that attitude, just competition, just fight every single snap, every single down. I think that's been one of the biggest things, is just having that confidence, because previously you fought tooth and nail every single snap just to get better previously. It's a huge game for sure. Last two teams that are undefeated Ivy play. The only thing I can think about, honestly, is it's just us against us. No matter what happens, no matter who the other team is, we have to focus on what we've done. That's how we've approached every week, and that's how we'll continue to approach this week. Our biggest thing this week is to make sure that we do the little things right. I know for the DBs, we're not going to change anything that we do. We're going to make sure to hit our goals for every week. Honestly, football is fun. Football is so fun. It's a real blessing. I thank God every day I have the ability to play that sport. My joy comes from me just looking at the brothers around me. I have people that I've been through a lot with right next to me when I'm playing the game. And then I have a mom, dad, and a little brother who support me. And looking back, I go on the field, I think about, I'm tired. I got a little brother watching. I'm tired. I got brothers that were tired, just as tired with me. So all my joy comes from them. Just being able to make plays and look around and see them just celebrating, looking at my coaches, watching them smile and watching them make plays. We'll be talking about the different celebrations we're gonna have on the field. But I just have true joy when I'm on the field, because I can just forget everything else that happens in life and just focus strictly on football. So I just enjoy smiling. I enjoy the game too much, and it's a blessing to be able to play the game.
Lance Meadow back here with you on GoColumbiaLions.com. It is the John Poppy Coaches Show. We recapped, of course, the matchup last week against Penn. Now let's look forward to the collision with Dartmouth, and this is going to be some matchup, at least from me, from a broadcasting standpoint, Coach, because you got two of the premier teams thus far in the Ivy League. Dartmouth 5-0. They've played a lot of close games. All of their games have been decided by four points or less, with the exception of the opener. What has stood out to you about this squad as you've studied them on film?
The team wins. Right, they win, and they're physical. God, they're physical, and they do a great job playing their assignments, and they're consistent with how they execute. And their offense does a great job staying on the field. Right, the defense isn't playing as many plays when that happens, and that's, I think, crucial to their success. They're really relying on 4 defensive linemen up front. Not to say other guys won't mix in, but they're really relying on their 4 starters, and their offense has to control the football to keep those guys healthy and keep them in a way that they can continue to create chaos for opponent offenses, which is what they do. And I'm really impressed with what Coach McCorkle and his staff, Coach Daff, the offense coordinator, Coach Dobbs, the defense coordinator, have done with this team. I mean, they're definitely the best team we've played because of how they execute and how they find ways to just win.
They had Jackson Proctor as their starting quarterback to start the season. Now they have switched to Grayson Saunier because their starter got hurt. What does Saunier give Dartmouth's offense that perhaps their previous starter didn't provide? Because he leads the team with 5 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I think Saunier is a little bit more dynamic with his legs, if you're asking me to pick one, right? And so Jackson Proctor's a great player. He's won a lot of games, and I think Saunier just has shown with his comeback versus Yale, coming in for the Woods kid at number 13, and now what he's done versus Central Connecticut in terms of winning games, right, whether with his arm or legs, is giving them a lot of confidence in his offense. He's a very energetic young man, and he plays the game the right way at that position.
You referenced the game against Yale. Remarkable comeback on their part. They were down by 21 midway through the 4th. They force overtime. They win that game. What does that serve as a reminder to your team, considering most games you would think you're down by 21, the opponent's going to win, but they found a way to crawl back into that contest?
It ain't over till it's over, right? And to quote every cliche you probably could, and that's what Dartmouth has done. Like, they've found ways to create extra possessions, right? They recover the onside kick, and that's what you need to do in those situations, and the ball seems to bounce their way. And so what we need to do is make sure we're on our game and on our assignments and not trying to do anything extraordinary, not press, not panic, just, hey, every snap is its own thing, and let's make sure we're focused on that and focused on just executing our jobs.
You gave an overview of their offense. I think there's somewhat of a mirror image, John, between your team and their team. They each have star wide receivers, right? You have Bryson Canty. Paxton Scott is an all-Ivy League player. Their tight end has emerged as a weapon. Q Johnson out of the backfield. How much does that make your defense say to itself, hey, we can't necessarily hone in on one guy in particular because they can evolve just as much as we can?
And that's a strength of Coach Daft. I mean, he does a great job of game planning and says, if you're going to take this away, I'm going to do this, right? He has the counter. So, if you're taking away Q Jones, right? Okay, here comes a quarterback run game. Or you're taking away Paxton Scott. Well, here comes Painter Richards Baker. Here comes, Nick Lemon, who's come on the scene in '86. And here comes Daniel Houghton, right? And Chris Corbo was the tight end you mentioned. I mean, they have weapons and they have people they trust to be in the right places at the right time and make the plays. And that's what's tough to defend them, is that they execute.
Speaking of execution, the other thing that jumps out to me is on defense. They've had 9 sacks. 3 of their players are in the top 10 in sacks in the Ivy League. So there's some diversity. What does that say about the task at hand for your offensive line, which you've relied on to win consistently in the trenches?
Yeah, we have to keep doing that. And we have to find creative ways to slow those guys down, right? And not letting them tee off because they just want to create chaos up front. And they play the game the right way, violently, physically, and with speed. And that's what makes them difficult, especially number 0. His twin brother is the linebacker, and the Green brothers are very good in this scheme and do a tremendous job of providing headaches. And so we got to be smart with how we're protecting our quarterbacks. We're blocking the run game with our zone combos or our gap schemes, and we just got to be unpredictable as much as we can be to not allow them to play fast up the field and dent the line of scrimmage or create a new one, so to speak.
I've had plenty of conversations with you thus far in the season. You're not somebody that likes to look too far ahead or look at the Ivy League from a big picture perspective. Well, the task at hand this week, Coach, 2 undefeated teams. It's homecoming. I mean, what's set on the table here, it doesn't get any bigger than that. How excited are you in terms of what lies ahead here this Saturday?
It's just the Ivy League schedule in general, right? Everything's a championship game. That's what we play for. And so this is no different. We have to go 1-0 in the Ivy this week. And that's what makes this league so much fun and competitive to be a part of, to see where it's at right now, where you have kind of two teams that have, quote unquote, separate themselves, but not really. Right? We're 2 games into this thing of 7, and so it's a championship week and like no other, and here we go, and it's going to be fun to play this game at home.
Coach, as always, I appreciate the time. Best of luck this week.
Lance, appreciate you.
Absolutely. Columbia comes in 4-1. Dartmouth 5-0. One of only 2 teams in the FCS still undefeated, joining Montana State. Kickoff 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Sean Fitzgerald and I will have the call. You can watch on ESPN+.